will now be recorded.
The council meeting of February 2nd, 2021 will now please come to order. Due to this meeting being a virtual meeting, council is asking if anyone who would like to address council who is participating through the computer, please use the chat feature now to let Clerk Massarolo know you have a comment, and you will be called on during the comment portion of the meeting. If you are calling on a phone or do not have access to the chat feature, we will give directions during the public comment portion of our meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Broussard.
Present.
Mr. Glassburn.
Here.
Ms. Heeman. Here. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Limpert.
Present.
Mr. Schuman.
Present.
Ms. Williamson.
Here. If there are no additions or corrections, the council meeting minutes of January 5th, 2021 are approved as written. If there are no additions or corrections, the council meeting minutes of January 19th, 2021 are approved as written. The following legislation will be considered for suspension of the rules this evening. On second reading, Resolution 2021-11. Mayor Kennedy, do you have a report this evening?
Madam President, I do. Fish fries at Springvale will begin on February 19th and will run through Good Friday. Due to COVID, we will only be doing takeout orders with a drive-up service. Cars can pull in the parking lot and have their spots, and the volunteer organizations will take it right out to their car. We will host a new volunteer organization each week, just like in previous years. In return, all tips will be donated to their organization. Please come out and support Springvale and those volunteer organizations. And registration opens next Monday for spring break and summer camp at the rec center. And finally, NOACA has invited the city of North Olmsted to participate in its electric vehicle charging station program, aimed at providing charging infrastructure for the region's growing number of electric vehicles. NOACA will cover 100% of the associated cost. 2 locations in the city have been identified for these charging stations, one being the rec center and the other one the City Hall campus, as you can see with legislation 2021-14. And Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Law Director Garreau, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a brief note, I did have the occasion, as I indicated we would be doing at the last meeting, to participate in the, over 2 days, the conference with Moody's, the bond rating entity for the city of North Olmsted for our current borrowing. That was on the 27th. I participated with the, in addition to John Larson with Squire Saunders and our financial advisor, Director Kopfer and Mayor Kennedy. And I think that's the 3rd time I've had a chance to do that. I think 3, maybe 4, 3. But it was an honor to represent the city, to be able to kind of sell the city a little bit to these folks and let them know the good stuff that's going on, the ordinances that we've worked on together, from zoning and changing in the master plan, and then even get into legal stuff, which legal stuff's kind of boring because there's no lawsuits happening. That's a good thing. So I guess that's a bragging point as opposed to a point of contention. So. But it was a privilege to do so, and I look forward to the bond rating work analysis being released in the near future. And thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Finance Director Kopfer, do you have a report this evening?
Sorry, I didn't realize that I didn't have my camera on. I've just been listening so intently. I do have a brief report. At the end, we filed the year-end balances with the county treasurer for the year. We ended the year in the general fund with a $4.2 million carryover balance. And that was through, with declining revenues and expenditures being reduced and the budget being monitored, and also with the ability to properly apply CARES Act funding to reduce the COVID-related wages and benefits of our first responders. We ended with 21.9 million in general fund actual revenues, with 21.1 million in expenditures plus encumbrances for the year, which that the current year revenues exceed the current year expenditures as they have for probably, let's see, I have a chart here that goes back to 2015, and they did each year since then. Additionally, before you this evening, I sent out that report and the quarterly narrative review, and also the permanent appropriations, the administration's permanent appropriations, along with an updated fund summary with the carryover balances. And also there were some reductions in property taxes projections by the local government, by the county, so we had to reduce that. And additional expenditures to provide the fund summary. We've also provided the ordinance, the summary spreadsheet that shows all the changes, the estimated resources, and the expenditure detail, and the current year analysis of expenditures just by their individual categories, not every line that's within each line item as the detail provides. I look forward to discussing this with you, and I'm sure the administration does as well in the committee meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving into council committee reports, Councilman Brassard, Chairman of the Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee met on January 26, 2021, beginning at 6:55 p.m. Present were all of council and the council president, as well as committee members, Brassard, Williamson, and Limpert. The mayor was present, directors Kopfer, Lieber, Garreau, and Gallo, and guests. We met to discuss a liquor permit transfer, which would be transferring from liquor permit number 4188208, which is JSK International, DBA Ohashi, located at 24539 Lorraine Road, North Olmsted, Ohio, 44070, transferring to liquor permit number 1171030, which is CK Kanan LLC, also located at 24539 Lorraine Road, North Olmsted, Ohio, 44070. No objection from the police department. Motion was made by myself to approve to all of council, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. It passed by a vote of 3-0. So, Madam President, at this time, I'll make a motion to not object to transferring liquor permit number 4188208 to liquor permit number 1171030, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit number 1171030 being transferred, made by Councilman Brassard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brassard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Ms. Heeman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, Madam President. The Public Safety Committee meeting concluded at 6:57 p.m. and that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williamson, Chairwoman of the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do. Thank you, Madam President. The Building, Zoning, and Development Committee met on January 26, 2021 at 7 p.m. Present were committee members Williamson, Limpert, and Schuman, council members Rosard, Glassburn, Heeman, and Kelly, our council president, mayor, law director, finance director, human resources director, planning director, building commissioner, the city engineer, and guests. The first item on the agenda was ordinance number 2020-145, which reads, an ordinance providing for the amendment of chapter 1135, 1 and 2 family residence districts of the codified ordinances of the city of North Olmsted. This meeting was a continuation of several previous meetings regarding ordinance 2020-145. Director Lieber addressed additional questions raised by council members, which dealt with various sections of the code concerning the following areas: recreational vehicles, prohibited accessory structures and uses, temporary ramps, and projections A and C in section 1135.07. After a lengthy discussion on these issues, it was recommended to hold this ordinance in committee until the proposed amendments were made. A motion was made to hold this ordinance in committee, and that motion passed with a vote of 3-0. The second item on the agenda was ordinance number 2020-77, which reads, an ordinance amending section 1135.02 of the zoning code of the city of North Olmsted entitled accessory uses for the purpose of eliminating the 200-foot residential lot setback requirement for animal shelters used for chickens. This meeting was also a continuation from several previous meetings, including the most recent on January 12, 2021. Amendments had been proposed by Councilman Schuman, who is also the sponsors of this piece. With the amendments now incorporated into the legislation and no additional changes necessary, a motion was made to recommend approval of the ordinance as amended to all of council, and that motion passed with a vote of 3-0. Madam President, at this time, I would like to amend ordinance number 2020-77 to incorporate the recommendations previously made by the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee and ask for a second.
I'll second that.
Motion to amend ordinance 2020-77 made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilman Schuman. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman,
Yes.
Ms. Heeman,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-77 is amended with a vote of 7-0.
The BZD meeting of 1/26/2021 concluded at 8:11 p.m. and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schuman, Chairman of the Finance Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do. Thank you, Madam President. Finance met 1/26/21. I have 8:20 p.m. I might be a little bit late on that. Attending was all of council, including committee members Schuman, Kelly, and Broussard, President Jones, the mayor, directors Grow, Kopfer, Gallo, Lieber, Greg Myers was there, building commissioner, city engineer from the chamber, Mr. Jim Burns and Mr. John Sobieski, and guests. We were there to discuss 2021-11, which is a resolution establishing a program for financial assistance for small businesses in the city of North Olmsted and declaring an emergency. Some of the 2021-11 points of discussion included questions as to whether we should be using residents' local tax dollars for this program, discussions about using potential future COVID relief dollars instead of or in addition to budgeted dollars, possibility of having the Chamber of Commerce be the deciding body for who gets the grants, legality or appropriateness of using current economic fund as opposed to creating a new fund specific to the program, the use of the leftover CARES Act money from last year, After a lengthy conversation, committee voted 2-1 to recommend with the following amendment, that a new fund be created as recommended by the finance director. And the committee recommended that remaining CARES Act money be used first to lessen the amount of local money. Mr. Kelly voted no, with the comment that he preferred we use the CARES Act on top of what was budgeted in the temporary budget. This second part is not actually an amendment, as no dollar figure is in this legislation, and the amounts will be determined during the permanent budget meeting. Since 1/26 meeting, the law and finance directors have agreed that the Economic Development Fund can and should be used. Therefore, I will not be offering any amendments to 2021-11, and this concludes my report. Thank you.
Madam President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Heeman.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like to amend 2021-11 as follows, and as discussed and gone over in caucus this evening. We will be amending the actual legislation in section 1 to state that it is a small business relief board. We were adding a new section 2 that states the aforementioned business relief program shall be funded as outlined in the City of North Olmsted temporary budget and shall receive additional funds as presented by separate legislation. We will then be changing item 2 to section 2 to section 3. On the exhibit, we're adding a header as exhibit A so that it's on all of the pages and will be printed that way. We are adding on page 1 under item number 1 that the mayor's appointment will be from within his administration. We are substantively adding the last paragraph will have an addition that states no person within the employment of the City of North Olmsted and no member of its elected officers or any of their businesses shall be eligible for an award granted under this program. Page 2 contains that not only will they be in good standing with the City of North Olmsted, but the state of Ohio and any other taxing authority. Item number 3 on page 2 defines a real estate company of any type. Page 3 just adds a phrase that it would be you or your business in the second full paragraph there. And then the rest of the changes are simple punctuation. And I would like to then ask for a second on those amendments.
Second.
Motion to amend resolution 2021-11 made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Heeman? Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-11 has been amended with a vote of 7-0. Councilman Limpert, Chairman of the Streets and Transportation Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do have a report this evening, Madam President. Thank you. The Streets and Transportation Committee met on January 26th at 7:55 p.m. Present were committee members Limpert, Kelly, and Glassburn, and the rest of council. The mayor, law director, finance director, HR director, planning director, and guests. On the agenda were resolutions 2021-4, 2021-5, 2021-6, and 2021-7. These were resolutions authorizing the city engineer to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide asphalt resurfacing and related repairs upon city streets, crack sealing and pavement markings on various streets, and the purchase of rock salt for road ice and snow removal for the use of the city of North Olmsted as detailed in the specifications on file, and authorize the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder. These are all annual contracts to support road maintenance and ice removal. And after a little conversation, the motion passed by a vote of 3-0, and the meeting concluded at 8 p.m. Madam President, this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Heeman, Chairwoman of the Environmental Control Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do. Thank you, Madam President. The Environmental Control Committee met on Tuesday, January 26, 2021 at 8:16 p.m. Present were committee members Heeman, Glassburn, Williamson, Council President Jones, all members of council, the mayor, law director, finance director, planning director, human resources director, and guests. On the agenda was 2021-10, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase a combination jet/vacuum machine and equipment at a final cost of $465,000 from Jack Doheny Company, all through the state purchase program, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to effectuate such purchase. The city already has one jet vac that is in service at the wastewater treatment plant and is used to work on the city's sanitary system. This new truck will be used to work on the city's storm water system, and it is comprised of larger pipes, which is why the new equipment is needed rather than trying to share the truck that we already have. The vehicle will come with some training provided to our employees and will be used exclusively by the city's storm crew to, of course, offset and help relieve flooding issues to residents. Ms. Heeman made a motion to recommend 2021-10 to all of council. The motion was seconded by Mr. Glassburn. The motion passed 3-0. The meeting concluded at 8:20 p.m. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Glassburn, Chairman of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No, Madam President, but I would request a moment of personal privilege.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. My committee, Intergovernmental Relations, deals normally with our relationships, boards and commissions and relationships with other entities, but I'm very alarmed at what we heard in caucus tonight. There's a separation of powers, and in the instance of the budget, it is the council's responsibility to pass a budget. It's the administration's responsibility to maintain the financial records and to execute the items in the budget. Whether the administration supported the changes the council made or not, we have to be able to have confidence that when an issue has been settled and an ordinance has been passed, that the executive will execute the items included and that we will continue to have accurate financial numbers. This continued opposition in the permanent budget may be unwise and in a crisis difficult to justify. But the idea that we were presented a document that omitted the fact that the administration removed the amendments that were made by council of the effective document, the temporary budget passed on the 22nd of December, undermines confidence that we are going to be presented with accurate information from this administration. I'm very concerned about it, Madam President, and I hope that we will not have to see this problem again in the future. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilman Kelly, Chairman of the Recreation, Public Parks and Buildings Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any letters or communications to come before council at this time?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you for joining our council meeting tonight. At this time, council will hear comments from the public. Please remember to state your full name and address for our clerk. If you live in a city other than North Olmsted, please state the name of that city. We will start with those who have notified us via the chat feature. Anyone who has not notified us via chat and who would like to comment, please unmute your phone and start your comment when prompted. Clerk Mazzarolo, has anyone notified you that they would like to comment this evening?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. At this time, if there's anyone on the computer or on the phone who would like to comment, please address council now. Seeing no comments from our audience this evening, we will now move into legislation.
Hello,
I'm
Council President Jones.
I'm sorry, yes. Your name and
This is Jeff Sturgeon, 3092 West 231. I did have a couple of questions. One, are all the caucus meetings, are they available for the public to see online?
There, you are able to join us at our caucus meetings. We typically start our caucus meetings at 7:45 p.m. On the night that we have council, which starts at 8. And if you ever need any recordings or you would like a transcript of any council meeting or caucus meeting, you may contact our clerk. Clerk Massarola would be happy to assist you in getting those to you.
All right, because I didn't see on the city's calendar, anything for caucus meetings, where to sign on or anything like that. And I was trying to see it tonight, and I just wasn't able to do that.
Sure.
Another
the caucus meeting link, Mr. Sturgeon, the link to the caucus meeting is the same link that you would use to connect to the meeting at 8 p.m.
Thank you very much. I do have another thing. I read in the paper they were talking about the improvements for Clague Park, specifically having the bathrooms and the walking trail. And they mentioned in there that the city engineer was going to try to address any way you could possibly do something to lower the price tag of that to get it into the budget. And I did not know, because it also mentioned in that same article that there was never any bathrooms at Clague Park. But there were bathrooms, ma'am, at Clague Park many years ago. When I was a child, there were bathrooms, and they're very close to where the new bathrooms, it sounds like they may be going. And if that's the case, didn't know if the city engineer knew that, because there should still be a sewer available and maybe water available. That's two things that you do need for a bathroom.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, we will absolutely make sure that the city engineer looks into that.
Okay. Another question I have is on the amendment for basically the chicken coops, where I see the 200 feet. What was the distance? Was it 40 feet as far as being from the neighbor's property? And was that their property, or was that from their house?
Councilwoman Williamson, do you recall those numbers from your committee meeting?
Madam President, I will go through my notes quickly as I put them away. Mr. Schuman, do you recall?
Mr. Giroux has them. He's got his hand up.
Director Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. It was 200 feet from the residence. It wasn't a property line, it was a structure.
It was from the structure, not the property line?
Correct.
Well, that's a 200 feet setback. What about from the neighbor's property?
It was from any residential structure. It was 200 feet.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Madam
Sturgeon.
President. Madam President.
Councilman Lippert.
That's what the old policy was, though, right? Because we changed that to 40 feet. I just wanted to make that clear to Mr. Sturgeon. Maybe I misunderstood his question. It used to be 200 feet, and now it was changed to 40 feet for the distance, right? Or yeah.
And at 40 feet, again, is from the structure, not from the property line, correct?
Director Giroux.
Thank you. My recollection is that it was not from the property line, because that would eliminate virtually, in a lot of these neighborhoods, it would eliminate the possibility with 80 and 100 foot wide lots. You would be in a position where you wouldn't have the ability to do much of anything. So it was in my recollection, I don't have the ordinance with me right now, is that it was a structure setback.
Mr. Sturgeon,
Thank you.
I
Thank you very much.
thought that
Thank you
was-
very much.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought, my recollection, I thought it was 45 feet from a dwelling, but we will make sure that the council clerk follows up with you directly tomorrow to make sure that he gives you the accurate information that you're looking for tonight. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council this evening? Seeing no comments from our audience, we will now move into legislation.
Legislation on third reading. Ordinance 2021-2, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Human Resources to request proposals from qualified individuals to provide nuisance abatement services for 2021, and further authorizing the mayor, subject to approval of the Board of Control, to enter into an agreement with the individual selected in the RFP process and declaring an emergency.
Madam President,
Councilman Lippert.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-2 and ask for a second.
Second.
Second. Sorry.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2021-2 made by Councilman Lippert, seconded by Councilman Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman,
Yes.
Ms. Heeman,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-2 is adopted with a vote of 7-0.
Legislation on second reading. Ordinance 2020-77, introduced by Councilman Schuman. An ordinance amending section 1135.02 of the zoning code of the city of North Olmsted entitled accessory uses for the purpose of eliminating the 200-foot residential lot setback requirement for animal shelters used for chickens as amended. Resolution 2021-4, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the city engineer to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide asphalt resurfacing and related repairs upon city streets as detailed in the specifications on file in the Division of Engineering, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder. Resolution 2021-5, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the city engineer to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide crack sealing on various streets at various locations in the city as detailed in the specifications on file in the Division of Engineering, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder. Resolution 2021-6, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the city engineer to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide new pavement markings to various streets and locations in the city as detailed in the specifications on file in the Division of Engineering, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder. Resolution 2021-7, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for rock salt for roadway ice and snow removal for use by the city of North Olmsted as detailed in the specifications on file, and further authorizing the mayor, after approval by the Board of Control, to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder. Resolution 2021-10, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase a combination jet vacuum machine and equipment at a final cost of $465,000 from Jack Gilhenny Company, all through the state purchase program, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to effectuate such purchase. Resolution 2021-11, introduced by Councilwoman Heeman and Councilman Glassburn, co-sponsored by Council President Jones, Councilman Kelly, and Councilwoman Williamson. A resolution establishing a program for financial assistance for small businesses in the city of North Olmsted and declaring an emergency as amended.
Madam President.
Councilwoman Heeman.
Madam President, at this time, I'd like to request suspension of the rules requiring 3 readings. This has been held in, discussed in committee at length. It was discussed again in caucus, and I think that it's an important, piece of legislation and in the benefit of the public interest to be passed on suspension, and I'd ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 7-0. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to address council regarding Resolution 2021-11, please do so now.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman.
seeing none and hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adopt 2021-11 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-11 made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-11 is adopted with a vote of 7-0.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Heeman.
Madam President, I'd like to thank my colleagues for their hard work on this piece of legislation. Thank you all.
Legislation on first reading. Ordinance 2021-12. An ordinance amending section 131.06 entitled Authority to Accept Donations of Chapter 131 of the Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Olmsted entitled Mayor, in order to allow the mayor to accept any cash or gift card donation to the Division of Youth and Family Services or Division of Aging.
Madam President,
There.
I'd like to introduce, place on first reading.
Ordinance 2021-13. An ordinance amending section 139.04 entitled Division of Police of Chapter 139 of the Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Olmsted entitled Department of Public Safety in order to increase the amount of the petty cash fund for use by the North Olmsted Police Department.
Madam President,
There.
I'd like to introduce, place on first reading.
Resolution 2021-14. A resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of North Olmsted to apply for and, if approved, to accept a grant awarded by the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, Energized Community Grants for 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Madam President,
Mayor.
I'd like to introduce, place on first reading.
Ordinance 2021-15. An ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the City of North Olmsted for the year ending December 31st, 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Madam President,
Mayor.
I'd like to introduce, place on first reading.
Thank you. Moving into committee meetings for next Tuesday, February 9th. Councilman Broussard.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll call a Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee meeting at 7 p.m. It should run until around 7:10 p.m. We're going to discuss ordinance 2021-13, and I'll ask that the Chief of Police or his designee be present. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schuman.
We'll have a Finance Committee meeting Tuesday the 9th at 7:10, and we'll be discussing 12, 14, and 15. And I would ask that the mayor, the directors, and any one the mayor would like to invite attend. Thank you.
Thank you. With the agenda being completed and there being no further business to come before council, this meeting of February 2nd, 2021 is adjourned at 8:40 p.m.
Madam President.